Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. To everyone who is here before me on the playground in this glorious day, and to our Zoomies who are right there in that little black dot that I can look at. I'm Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry. I'm the minister here at the fellowship, and I'm joined by our intern minister, Lisa Moore, who's back after knee surgery. Yay! And she's just going to be sitting up here to minimize her movement and maybe tap me on the shoulder if I'm going too long this morning. Today we also have our service associate, Paul Brindison, who will be joining us. And it's one of those cast of thousands Sundays. So you'll be seeing people, other people up here during the morning, as well as there's a participatory activity for people, especially if you're Longmonters, that you may be asked to participate in. So today's music that you heard coming in is from Josh Lakeman, who he does improvisations on the piano. So just pay attention to how beautiful he just plays. It's amazing. Thank you, Josh. Bob Warden on guitar, and Clara Kelly will be leading our songs. And our tech team today is Eric Williams, Deborah Mensch, and Karen Griglak. So it does, I know, yay to the tech team. It does take a cat. And Don Price is on Zoom or not this morning? No. Okay, the Zoomies are, you're on your own today? Oh no, Deborah's helping you, great. I'm curious how many people are on the screen, Deborah? 55 on the screen so far. And Nancy, how many are in here that you see? And 48 here, great. Well, welcome everyone. It's nice to see us regathering together in all the ways that we do, and welcome newcomers, of course. If you are here and it happens here, down here, and it happens to get chilly, you can go to your car and turn on your car radio to 97.5 and listen on the radio. So I don't think that's going to happen today, but we still have 2 more weeks out here, so keep that option in mind. And if you are joining us on Zoom today, I do invite you to shift into gallery mode right now, if you haven't already done so. And just take a look, screen through the pages of members of this community while I read our welcome words. And those of you who are here, just look around and see who you can recognize underneath those masks. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. Whether you are joining us today in your bunny slippers or you carried a lawn chair in with you today, we are one community. Christian, pagan, humanist, Jew, Buddhist, mystic, Muslim, Unitarian, Universalist, with all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon until you return, you are welcome here. And whether you come with laughter in your heart today, or you come with tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. We take time each service for a land acknowledgement, noting that the land that we are standing on was once stewarded by the Arapaho, the Ute, the Lakota, and the Cheyenne, and many tribes that roamed through this area freely, and it was stolen from them. Our congregation honors Indigenous legacy and respects the enduring relationships that exist between Indigenous people and their traditional homelands through our connections to Right Relationship Boulder. We also commit ourselves to being anti-racist and to dismantling systemic racism by taking actions to dismantle racism in society, by taking guidance from and honoring the lived experience of those who identify as people of color or Black, Indigenous, and by developing personal relationships between cultures and by doing our own work within this congregation to see how the systems of systemic racism are perpetuated even counter to our best intentions. If you are new here, we are really glad you found us and hope that no matter where you are right now, you can experience the love and warmth of this congregation. Each Sunday is different, so please come a few Sundays to get to know us or learn about us through our website or through signing up for the listserv. If you're on Zoom, you'll see those things popping up in the chat. And if you're here, you can go to our website and go to the first time visitors page or email your information to our office manager, Carol, and she's at officemanager@bvuuf.org. If any visitors would like to introduce themselves on the chat, please do so. And if there's any newcomers here who would like to just say hello, you can raise your hand. And if you're comfortable, stand up and tell us your name and what town you live in, because we really love to know who is among us on these Sundays. Welcome. I will repeat that. So Kelly and Mel in her arms, who is like the size of a cat. So for those who can't see Mel, welcome. Wonderful. And Kelly lives about 5 minutes away. Welcome. We're glad to have you here today. If you're joining us on Zoom, I invite you to light your own chalice as Paul lights the fellowship chalice. And so we can know where the chalices are. If you're on Zoom, just write chalice lit in the name of your town. And then we will light this chalice and say all the words together. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. I now invite you to let the sound of the second bowl draw you deeper into the present moment and into the company of this multi-generational, multi-platform gathered community. Following the sound of the bowl, we'll just gather ourselves for a few moments of silence.
Good morning. Our opening words this morning come from a poem written by the Reverend Scott Taylor entitled Woven Anew, with just a few edits by myself to make it appropriate for today's service. Come with your joy. Come with your incredible curiosity. Come with your hunger for hope. But also come with your broken heart. Come with your cracked confidence, your ruptured relationships. Let this today, this place, this time be a time of repair. May the words spoken today become webbing, weaving again a path back to restored relationships, back to one's forgotten worth, back to a place of peace that have all been buried by all the striving and the worry and the wounds. May the sounds circling this space sweep you up like a stream whose currents long to carry you home. And may the common breath, our reclaimed relationships so sweetly shared between us, remind you that discouragement eventually lifts, that we are tethered more tightly together than sometimes it seems, and that together our hearts can mend and our world can be woven anew. Come, let us begin this transition to wholeness and home.
So we are given the gift of being able to breathe together and reflect and make music together today. If you're at home on the Zoom and you would like to join us, we'll be singing from the Teal Hymnal, number 1009. But if you're here, I invite you to just breathe and reflect. It's a great time for that. The song is called Meditation on Breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Thank you, Claire. That was so beautiful. And thank you, Bob. Just as a wave cannot exist for itself, but is ever a part of the heaving surface of the ocean, so must I never live my life for itself, but always in the experience which is going on around me. That's by Albert Schweitzer. A couple of weeks ago, another coming-of-age class began their journey with a ritual with their parents. As a part of the ritual, they're reminded of the 5 movements of any relationship. This comes from attachment theory, and it's something you may have heard me share before. I find it particularly powerful as I think about relationships in my life, and particularly powerful in this moment of our collective life as human beings. The 5 movements of relationship are following, leading, blending, letting go, which is sometimes a turning away or sometimes even rupture, and then reconnecting. Following, all of them, I want to say, are physical. They're physical parts of our being because we are physical. We'll start with leading. Leading is physical. To lead is to initiate an action, an idea, or a way of moving by speaking, vocalizing, or even being still. Leading can be co-regulating as well, when we consciously practice calming ourselves and our own physicality, our own bodies, to support the calming of another body around us. We often associate parenting very young children and infants with this leadership role. I'm looking at little Mel over there. And then it can show up again when we are adult children called on to lead our ailing parents. Following is physical too, and incredibly important. To follow is to consciously go with or mirror or build or emphasize somebody else's idea or action or dynamic. Anytime we are willing to follow, or even ecstatically follow, to match someone's energy and to move with them, we help someone else build up their idea. It affirms both the follower and the leader when we're in that space. Blending. This is my favorite. Blending is physical as well. Blending is when two people go back and forth and you can't even tell who's leading and who's following. It's delicious. It's like an attunement of bodies that move and energy and ideas. They experience together a sense of almost unity sometimes, or being a team of co-creation. The unique blend of attachment is crucial. It offers the physical security that's required for bodies to relax and to integrate and to balance. Here in the fellowship life, it happens when we're in these collaborative spaces. Like I would say the first 2 hours of coming here to create Sunday morning, there's a lot of blending. There's a lot of coming and going and flow to get us here and ready for everyone. Ideally, even when there's following and leading, the reciprocity of blending is present. That is, someone's in the driver's seat, the leader, but the passenger can suggest a change of direction and have it considered and maybe even followed for a bit. Letting go. Letting go is also physical. Individuals must physically learn how to let go of one another and go their own way. Imagine a child who won't leave their parents, or a partner who can't trust their counterpart to leave their presence. Letting go, turning away from each other is essential to any relationship. Now, individuals necessarily move through small and large ruptures in their relating. There is no escaping it. Rupture can be as sudden as a bolt of lightning striking down a tree, or as subtle as a river wearing down a mountain, until one day, lifting your gaze, you discover a canyon. Rupture is often anticipated as a natural part of the cycle of life. Our children move away, people are married, like one of our beloved children is getting married, I think next weekend. Will Seawright, Keith and Charlene's son. He was up here as a service associate as a young person. And deaths are also an incredible form of rupture, of course. We have 2 memorials coming up, Jim Nelson and Vicki Ruich. But ruptures can also be unanticipated, a break in the way you expected things to go. Certainly a death of a child, it's the wrong order of things, or a divorce, or a death by suicide or accident, or even a sudden challenging diagnosis can create a rupture in the order of things. Some of you know I recently moved from co-housing after 21 years in living in a co-housing community and 14 years living here in Oakland. Well, that was a somewhat unanticipated letting go and an unanticipated rupture, actually. There was a slow eroding of relationships within our co-housing community that came to a head in such a way that my little family of 3 that was living there, decided that we needed to let go of the nest that we'd had for 14 years. And to our identity of as co-housers for most of my married life. It wasn't comfortable I'm not usually one who does rupture and then walks away. But the ability to tolerate discomfort, the discomfort of letting go of what is no longer needed or useful, or even if it's completely unanticipated, like a death, it's important to well-being, and as important as being able to hang on in other situations. Now, reconnecting is also physical. I want to postulate that it is always possible to reconnect, even after a death. My father died 3 years ago, and my relationship to him is different, but reconnected. And there was actually a big letting go of all the fatherly stuff that I was carrying around, so that in his letting go of his physical self, we were able to reconnect on a spiritual level in a very different way. It's how we come back to each other in new ways through changes of intensity, intimacy, and proximity. So imagine this happens over and over. There's these big things that are like the big waves of the movements of following and leading. But every little exchange you have, every conversation, every exchange with a stranger behind a register checking you out of the grocery store has this pattern of following, leading, joining, letting go, and reconnection. Especially if we understand that we are all profoundly connected as in this unity that makes us all one. Now, COVID was an abrupt rupture to all relationships. I don't think there was a relationship, there was a person on this world, on this planet, who was not impacted by this pandemic. And because it impacted individuals, it impacted all of our relationships. Some people ended up in more proximity with others than perhaps they had ever been, for longer and longer and longer. Some relationships were very far away and we couldn't reach them in the midst of the pandemic. A huge rupture, a huge internal disruption about how we would be together. Now, we're starting to come back together in new ways. We're starting the reconnection. But I will tell you that our bodies are still sometimes reacting and not knowing how to react physiologically to the proximity of others. Have you been next to somebody, like even masked, even outside, and they come towards you and you feel yourself slowly shrink back? We don't know what to do yet. And everyone's going to have a different bubble, a different capacity to renegotiate that. Priya Parker is a woman who wrote the book, what's it called? The Art of Gathering. And in the Art of Gathering, she wants to make these implicit negotiations that we're having with each other explicit. So asking each other, are you hugging now? Right? Or just moving back to the elbow bump, if that's more comfortable. So we're in a time of all this renegotiating. And as we are doing this, I just invite you to pay attention to the following and the leading that's happening. And when you're able to meld, and both parties, whoever that might be, feels that connection again, that reconnecting again, and making explicit those relational shifts that are happening. It's a beautiful time. It's a time when actually many of our relationships, even through rupture, can be renegotiated in beautiful ways. Because even when lightning strikes a tree, when the tree falls, it makes room for new growth underneath. Esther Perel, who is she's a funny therapist, couples therapist, that's what I'll call her. She called the pandemic an accelerator and said that relationships that were already kind of on a momentum forward tended to accelerate forward with this big disruption. And relationships that were on a momentum downward tended to decelerate as well, to accelerate downward. So now we have a new opportunity to think about, rethink how we want our relationships to be with one another, to re-navigate within the context of the fellowship and within the context of each of your lives. Make it explicit, my friends. Make it explicit.
Well, as we're coming and going in these relationships, sometimes it feels a little bit like a dance. So we are going to sing, if you're at home, we're in the gray hymnal, number 311, Let It Be a Dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Feel the rhythm, feel the need to reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter or bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance.
I can't help myself from moving when somebody says, let it be a dance. Oh my goodness. So, relationships change not only between individuals, but also between groups of individuals as well. So today, we're going to tell a bit of a story about changing relationships within Unitarian Universalism here in Boulder County. We're going to be honoring the shift in the relationship between Reverend Emily Conger and the Longmont UU Presence, or the Loop, as many of us affectionately know it. We, the Boulder Valley UU Fellowship, in partnership with the UU Church of Boulder, have been the root congregations, we call ourselves, for the Loop. Because all relationships are physical, we're going to make this story a physical one as well. So as I said before, I warned you, you may hear your name called, and if you do, I'm inviting you, everything is always invitational, inviting you to come forward. and help us create this little story we're creating. Now, the other thing to know about relationships, if you haven't discovered this yourself yet, is that relationships are often messy and improvisational. So I'm going to guess that this reenactment is going to be a little messy and a little improvisational as well. So we are weaving a story of Unitarian Universalism in Boulder County and the Longmont UU presence and Reverend Emily's ministry among us. I need my folks. Paul. And can you bring those up, Paul? Okay. There you go. In the way before times, there was a rupture in Unitarian Universalism in Boulder. This congregation, which was founded in 1979, represented by Lisa Moore, came into being after a painful split with the UU Church of Boulder, and Paul is standing in. For years, Boulder Valley UU Fellowship and the UU Church of Boulder were barely talking to each other. But throughout that long time of rupture, there were visionaries. There were people who knew that UUism would be stronger in this area if our connections were strong. They longed for that reconnection after rupture. Visionaries like Diane Ewing at UU Church of Boulder, who's probably at their church today, and Jean Canella, Elena Slusser, and Natalie Parker here at the fellowship, who I think are in a little dot over there, made sure that there was an annual Longmont UU picnic. Others came together to join for seders and Thanksgiving dinners. So I need someone to stand, if they're willing. Maybe it's Josh, maybe it's one of you brave participants, unwitting participants, to stand and hold these two ribbons together. Anyone? Thank you, Sylvine. Other way. Oh. You hold that. That's perfect. Because some of them were from UUCB and some of them were from BVUUF, and there was this kind of in and out of like, can we reconnect or will we not reconnect? So, but in 2010, which was still in the before times of the mostly ruptured relationship, Emily Conger was hired as a youth coordinator for the fellowship. She was also a volunteer young adult coordinator for the UU Church of Boulder. So she became the first real straddler. She was a bridge builder. With her leadership and guidance, our first joint youth group together like this. Now, meanwhile, more programming started in Longmont, and with Prue Larson's able leadership, Prue, you willing to come forward? She was the incredible communicator of making sure everyone in Longmont knew about the Longmont Covenant groups, the lunch groups, the book groups. And in 2015-16, Ruth Reinhardt's internship here at the fellowship, we dedicated 5 hours of Ruth's time to be working with the Longmont UU ministry. And I found some notes, an old email, that from March 30th, 2016, the Longmont Partnership Advisory Task Force was formed. Aren't you glad they call it the Loop right now? And that included Will Kropp from UUCB, Stephanie Pocky from BVUUF, Natalie Parker from the fellowship, Janin Wright from UUCB, and Ruth the intern. I'm going to want somebody to represent that group if you would. Thank you, Wendy. So just take the spool a little bit from Prue. There we go. Thank you. We want to keep everybody on camera. And during that time, a Chalice Lighter grant was received. So the loop was really growing in ministry and programs, and you can see this beautiful green sprout coming. And then in January of 2017, Ruth became the assistant minister here at the fellowship and a staff person for the Loop. But she realized by February that that was going to be too much for her. So Emily, again, who by then had been in seminary and was about to finish, Reverend Kelly Dignan called her up and asked her if she would take the helm of staffing the Loop at that point. And there was 15 hours per month at that time, so about 3 hours a week to build this ministry, along with incredibly capable lay leaders. There was strategic planning, there was vision for a family-oriented, multi-generational, and diverse community doing church a new way. Emily's 4 years included a UU funding panel grant of $20,000, which was received twice. Emily gaining more hours until she was 20 hours a week. Ongoing renting space at COSOL, at someplace else first, right, Emily? Intercambio, and then COSOLV in downtown Longmont. Ongoing small groups, social justice, a trajectory of growth. And then March 2020. So now the Loop was doing dinner church, right? So church was hard for everybody, but dinner church during a pandemic was exceptionally hard. What brought parents together and families together in a multi-generational event was no longer fun for a parent who had to make dinner, get their kids to sit down, and then turn on a Zoom link and try and do it all together and feel connected. So that put a big challenge into this ministry. And Emily also, with one child, needed more family support, and her family moved to the East Coast, and the ministry became even more remote during that time. So the decision was made earlier in August, or July, August, to release Emily from this ministry, but not without an incredible legacy that has been left. Change-making is challenging and messy. Persistent visionaries are important. And there is now an ongoing UU presence in Longmont. At the time of this decision being made, we had, where'd it go? Kathy, there's now a new steering committee, there it is, new coordinating committee, which is Kathy Partridge and Sharon McCaffrey. And they will be bringing the Loop into new directions. Go ahead and throw that spool into the future.
Emily, Emily, we are grateful for you saying yes and stepping into the unknown in the spring of 2017.
Guiding and presenting options when faced with obstacles.
Adapting and stretching into new possibilities, doing the work with care.
Grounding us in our holy, heartfelt experiences.
Playfully engaging our bodies, drawing us always towards connection to self and others and beyond.
Honoring the youngest and the oldest among us.
Listening again and lifting up the voices less heard, creating something alive and loved.
Emily, you helped shape the bowl and fill it with soulful food, nourishing many.
Thank you, thank you. It has been such an honor to serve the Longmont Unitarian Universalist Presence. In the immediate future, I will continue serving as the founding minister of a project that was inspired by the powerful ministry we've been doing together. Nourish UU Dinner Church Consultants is all about embodied, multi-sensory worship experiences. And now people all across the country and the continent get to experience it too. I'll also be focusing more time on family in the next few years as we add yet another child. Thank you. This little one is expected this spring, and we are so thrilled.
And I want to also just take a moment. We're going to ask this gathering to disperse, but to really thank everyone who for many, many, many years has been fostering and growing the ministry in Longmont, lifting our gaze from our individual congregations to a new way of understanding Unitarian Universalism. So a big thank you to all of you, to Prue, and I see Debbie there. We used to meet in Debbie's family garden as well. So there's just been so many people, and I'm sure our Zoomers also are many Longmonters. So thank you all. And then I'm going to invite Emily up here for the releasing.
I'll go first.
You go first?
Yep. So I thank the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist community, its members and friends for the love, kindness, and support that you have shown me these last 4.5 years and the years before that where I served here as the youth coordinator. I ask forgiveness for the mistakes that I have made. I am grateful for the ways that my leadership has been accepted. And as I leave, I carry with me all that I have learned here and the love and the relationships that have been built.
On behalf of the congregation, we receive your thankfulness, offer forgiveness, and accept that you now leave to minister elsewhere. We express our gratitude for your time among us. We ask your forgiveness for our mistakes. Your influence on our lives and our congregations will not leave us at your departure.
I forgive you and accept your gratitude, trusting that our time together and our parting are all part of life's evolution.
Emily, it is time for us to release you from the position of minister to the loop. Boulder Valley UU Fellowship members and friends, do you release Reverend Emily from her position as minister to the loop, offering your encouragement for all her future ministries? Zoomies, if you can post in the chat room, and those here, if you can say, we do.
Emily, you will still be in the area, living in Lafayette for the foreseeable future. We'll see you around town, here on the fellowship playground with Lily, and maybe even in one of our congregations. Do you release us from calling on you to minister to us and offer your encouragement for the continued ministry of the Loop and the intricate connection between the two congregations?
I do.
We give thanks for the moments we have shared with Reverend Emily in worship, in learning, in service. We pray that her journey will be safe and meaningful as she moves to a new and unknown place. So may we be. From here, we cannot see what reconnections will be made, but it is clear that the root of our connection is strong and will not be eroded. The weaving of these relationships has been a gift and will continue to be one.
Yes, we just want to express our gratitude with our traditional thank you song, so here it is. Thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day. And if you ever doubt yourself. Remember us who love you well. We know all the gifts you bring into the world each day. So thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day.
It is so appropriate to follow that song with an offering, because each week we express ourselves and we remind ourselves of the abundance of this community, and we are thankful by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that support us. This week we are sharing our plate with the Boulder County Crop Hunger Walk. This annual event will be held October 24th, and it's a great opportunity to gather together to walk out in this beautiful nature. I know Donna and I have done this a number of times. This year it will be hosted by the Heart of Longmont Church in Longmont. If you'd like additional information and would like to sign up to either walk on our team or to contribute to the team, you can visit the BVUUF homepage and look for the Crop Walk team page. And we thank Deborah for providing the leadership on this walk. If you're on Zoom this morning, the text to donate, the donate number will be on your screen. And if you're in person, you'll see the text over there or over here. While the music is being played, we invite you to reflect upon a meaningful moment of this fall. For example, what's one simple thing that brings beauty or pleasure to your life? For the work of this fellowship, bringing love and reason and compassion and justice to this world, and to the Crop Walk for Hunger, we dedicate our offerings.
Sharing our joys and concerns with one another is another way that we make the shifts in relationships and in our lives explicit. So to name those transitions that are happening, or to name the joys of our lives. So we do this each week here. If you are on Zoom, you can write something in the chat, and then I will read it out loud and Paul will put a rock in. And if you are here live, you can come forward and tell us your name and where you live and what it is that is in your heart today. And now I'll lead us in some prayer. Here, you take that, and I'll go back up here. Beloveds, in all the twists and turns that relationships provide us, in all the beauty and the challenge, this is our life. It is our life together. There is no other life but a life together. May we be the ones who find the way to love courageously in the midst of tumult, who find the way to lead when it's time to lead, and to follow when others need our support behind them. May we be the ones to be able to relax ourselves so others too may relax. May we find the strength within to offer ourselves in beauty, to challenge ourselves with new creative endeavors, and to live our lives most fully and together. May it be so. Amen. Here comes Paul to help us extinguish our chalice. Please say the words along with me if you know them. We extinguish our chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. May we go forward loving courageously again and again and again. Amen. Let's hear it. Can I hear an amen from the hot crowd? Thank you. So I realize I probably should have put, and if it gets too hot, you can go in your cars and turn the AC on and listen. Maybe I'll add that next week. So I have a few announcements for today. Serving with Grace is our upcoming leadership event, and there's about 30 or more people signed up. If you are attending on Zoom Friday night, there's a little bag for you to pick up, and it will be on the table inside the fellowship. If you're not here, if you're Zooming right now and you're still attending on Zoom next Friday night, you can text me and we'll find a time to get your bag to you. You will need that for Friday night's activity. There are still 2 sessions to a class I'm leading called A Call to Faith in Turbulent Times on Thursday, October 28th and Thursday, November 4th. Again, if you're interested, you can contact me or look in Connections Weekly, and there will be a link. There's a few announcements for relating to our children and youth programs. November 7th, after the service, from 11:30 to 2, there'll be a lunch and an SS book organization, School of the Spirit book organization party. So you're invited to come help the staff get books organized and our classrooms one step closer to when we can actually have folks in there. And they need middle school volunteers. So there's a staffing shortage everywhere, including here at the fellowship, and we're having a hard time finding a middle school teacher, paid teacher. So if you want to work as a middle school teacher, or if you want to work with the younger ones, and you can make a commitment to do that, we can move some staffing around so that the younger teacher moves up to the middle school, and those of you who love those little ones can work with the elementary school kids. We're also looking for our trained OWL, Our Whole Lives Sexuality Curriculum facilitators. If you're trained, please contact Kitty at bvuuf.org. And for the middle school volunteers, please contact Jessica Lakeman, our Director of Lifespan Faith Formation. October 30th, which is 2 weeks from now. Next week, Lisa will be back in the pulpit. October 30th, 30th. Pumpkin carving here at the fellowship between 2 and 4. Bring your own pumpkin and carving things if you have them. Otherwise, they'll have them. We're going to need those pumpkins for October 31st when we're having our Halloween Animal Blessings Samhain, which is when the veil between the worlds is thinnest. And so come in your costume, everyone. That means you. Everybody on Zoom as well. Come in your costumes. Bring your pet. Your pet can come in costume. We're going to use some of those carved pumpkins and have a little photo booth area where you and your pet in costume can be photographed. And we're going to bless all the animals. So all are welcome to come and join in that festive Sunday. And then on November 7th, fingers crossed, everybody, right? We will be back in the fellowship hall, in the sanctuary, rather, in our beautiful new sanctuary for our first indoor service. And it will be our annual Day of Remembrance service, which is a more solemn service, but we will also find ways to celebrate our coming back together as a community. There will be a way for you to send pictures of anyone you have lost. Look in Connections Weekly this week. We're going to create a slideshow as we did last year. There's a reservation team accepting your requests for seats for that indoor, in-person service in November, all of them. Use a request form just once for each household or pod by October 25th. That will be in the chat or in Connections Weekly or on the fellowship website. Indoor services will still be streamed for Zoom for anyone not attending in person. And you will regularly receive Connections Weekly by email if you regularly receive or on the right mailing list to get future messages about in-person services. If not, go to the link that's in the chat right now to get on the list. We realize that a few of our members don't use email or Zoom, but very much want these services to be welcome for everybody. So if you know of a member who might not kind of be in the loop enough, please make sure that we want to be able to include them. So send their name and phone numbers, if you have it, to Ann Bridgens, and her email's going into the chat. And if you're here, let me know. And finally, if you're willing to show up at 8 a.m. on either of the next 2 Sundays to help the AV team set up, no training required. See Deborah Mensch? It really is it's actually beautiful to watch it all come together and to be a part of it. So she will, for 5 or 10 minutes, she'll be here after the service today, and you can join in on that. And I think that's all the announcements for today. And what a beautiful morning we've had together. I'll see you soon, I hope.